of this. Get rid of this. Find somewhere to. Okay, good. You want to help? Okay. Can you see it? I might just do it up high. Is that all right?
Yes.
You can see that? Good.
Yep, we can see that.
Okay. What am I going to do? I got no idea. I think I will find a pencil or whatever, maybe very low horizon line. I'll draw it with my dagger liner only so you can see what I'm doing. Otherwise, because it doesn't seem to come up on the screen. So I'll draw it for you. So horizon, there's your horizon. Does that come up on the screen, that line there?
Yeah, it shows up much better than pencil, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Just so you can see a nice cliff face there. Why not? We might even do a reflection in the cliff. That's what I think we'll do. Bit of a reflection, ocean, bit of ocean here. We'll just have a slither of ocean. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe, do you guys use feet and inches? And half an inch of...
No.
About 20
Yes.
mil of ocean. See ocean there, cliff there, reflection, sand. And then we'll throw in some clouds. Can you see that? I'll turn that towards you. Just something really simple. Cliff, ocean, just a little bit of ocean in the background, reflection, and some clouds. Okay?
Yep.
Now, we're going to paint it. So just, yes, so long as you can see it. Good. Okay. I'll brush it. Now, I'm not squeezing out any paint, so whatever colour comes out, comes out. So I'm just using all my old paint. Let's see. We'll go right. Oh, what an awful green. There's no such thing as getting dirty in watercolour. It's only about bad technique. Like, I'll give you an example. I'm using the dirtiest paint that I can find. Just the dirtiest colour. Whatever I can find. Put it on. Let's put it on and I cover it all. Now, I don't want any runs. I'm paranoid because of the fact that it is vertical. There we go. We'll do the top bit first, okay? There. And then, so keep it, so it's just horizontal. Mate, I'm just so, now, then I might get my little fan brush and put a few storm clouds in. Just practice the wet. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Oh. I love doing that. That's such good therapy. There. Few clouds there. Not too much. Dark down there. And then I'm just trying to think. And then we're going to do our sand. The sand is going to be let's see what color our sand is. Oh, it's come out this color. That'll do. I've used a bit of ochre, a bit of burnt sienna, right across. Can we use sparkle again? Sparkle. See, just there. There, sort of a nice, could even throw a bit of burnt sienna into that foreground sand, just to warm it up a bit with a bit of burnt sienna. Not too much, otherwise it tends to look like soil. Yeah, well, all right. Very simple. Sand, that's going to be water, clouds, and then we're going to throw in, when it's dry, there we're going to throw in a hill. Do you want to have a go at that?
Yep.
Give it 15 minutes to be ample. Is that all right?
I would have thought 5 or 10 minutes would be right, would you?
Okay, 10 minutes. How's that?
Yep.
10 minutes. Good luck. Turn around so I can paint. All right, now. Okay. What am I doing? Hang on. I'll dry it if that's all right, so you can see it a bit better. Sorry about all the buckles. It's just the light, you know, the way I've got the light on an angle, it's showing up. Hang on, it shows up all the buckles. But anyhow, okay. Cliff. When you've got the cliff, see how I'm doing the cliff, get yourself some clean water and a brush and just a little bit of water at the top, so you don't end up with a hard edge everywhere. This is Margaret River. Right, then we'll wet it again, wet the sand. We'll wet the sand like that, and then we'll leave a little suggestion of light. Oh, that's a bit much, a bit heavy, but just a little slither of light. And we'll pray that we're going to get reflections. Let's see. Are we going to, worst gets to worst, we'll just look at them and drag them down. See, get the square brush like this, big fat square brush, and drag it down. There.
Is it a hake brush, says Cass?
No, this is actually a nylon, an old cheap nylon brush. Big
Like that.
flat nylon brush.
Don't think so. It's not thick enough for that.
And then might just give it a bit of a background there. Why not? A bit of a background, very pale. Maybe I can soften down that a bit. It's a bit, maybe a bit strong. Oh. There. And then, I've got to do it a bit of a turquoisey color, whatever. And just here. See those lines? There. And then, oh, what else? Hang on. I'm just mopping up that paint just in case. Or the other way of doing it is get our flat square brush again, the flat nylon one, get some of the turquoise and do this. Like our waves. There. Sometimes, if it's a bit boring, get your tissue and dab it, create a bit of atmosphere. If it's almost dry, there. Just a bit of atmosphere. Now, to finish it off, I'll dry it because I want to put some people in.
I think the trouble is if he turns it now, then he can't walk in front of it.
So I'll get a small brush, whatever I've got, a little, just this little brush here. And I might just throw in a few people. So what time do we have to finish? In about 20 minutes. Is that correct or not?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
if we could finish by 3:30, that would be good.
Okay. So do the heads. Heads are always on the horizon line, just a few heads, and then throw in some people. There. A couple of people walking together on the beach. There. Maybe some here. There. There. And then, because it's wet sand, this is just a fun thing to finish up with. That's all. It's nothing serious. And then, oh. Couple of reflections, see, like that. There. Might have to do a few more people. Looks a bit empty.
Cass suggests a dog.
Okay. Coco, come here. Oh, here she comes. Hey, Coco. Yeah, a little dog. There. Oh, there. Oh, wherever. There. There. Well, it's here. I'll just put a bit of colour on those people. What have I got? I've got orange. A bit of orange would be nice on one. Orange. Maybe an orange one there. Blue. Might as well give him, to make him stand out against the dark. Blue. There. And then while we're here, just a few horizontal strokes. They can be seaweed, could be whatever you want it to be. A bit of dry brush there, just a bit of, I'm going for a bit of a dry brush in the bottom there. just to make it a bit more, basically just to fill in a bit of time. You can see I used to work in the public service. I'm only joking. I did, but I only lasted a week. It wasn't me.
Doing what?
I was Forest Commission.
Doing
years
what?
ago. I was helping a survey team, but we never did any work. It was just shocking. I was only a kid. It's like about 18 when I did, and then it was just, yeah. So, so that was it. There we go. Nice bit of dry brush there as well. Might just have a bit of white gouache, but I don't have white gouache, so I've got some white acrylic, and I'll just put a few highlights and pieces somewhere. Right, I'll turn that around for you. It's just a very little fun painting, quick little painting. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Very simple, slither of white, see the reflection, bit of dry brush, just a fun little painting to finish off with.
Oh my word. Brilliant. Okay,
Good.
right, thank you. On we go.
Good luck.
Oh, it's on the, oh, there it is. Yeah, I'll have a cup of tea, thanks.
Screenshot.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir. Yep. So,
Yep, okay, we're ready.
you ready? Okay, fantastic. All right, now I've talked. So, we don't have time for another painting, do we? So
No.
I'll just talk, okay? Now, in this painting, it's very simple, but I'll talk just as an example, things to do. Watercolor can be the easiest medium if you let it be easy. In other words, don't play with it. Like all this, most of this work has been done by the water just running, just letting it run, either dry brush, the reflection. I didn't even paint that reflection. All I did was wet it and then just brought it down. So always remember, the best part of your painting will be the part you don't paint, where the water does the work. Now, the other thing I always want you to remember, see this little slither of white for the water? White paper always glows in a watercolor. So it's so important when you do a watercolor that you find an excuse for a patch of white paper. Now, in a street scene, that's easy. You can always find a white building or find something white. In a landscape, you can't. There's never much white in a landscape. So what I do for an excuse for white paper in a landscape, does anyone know? Oh, I'll tell you, is that I use sparkle like we did in the last one. Remember, we made up the mixture of raw sienna with a touch of viridian. Well, when I got to the middle distance, I just dry brushed it. So that became my excuse for a patch of white in the focal point. So always remember those two things. And also remember, definitely no more than 2 washes. Basically, the way I work is 2 washes and then dry brush over the top. Never a 3rd wash. I don't think I ever do a 3rd wash. If it's not dark enough, then the dry brush makes it appear darker by just putting the dry brush over. If you stick to those rules, you'll always, now, it'll always work. Now, I notice now where people are struggling, what a wash is like a coat of paint. It's like if you paint a door, but the door doesn't dry and you're painting it all day, but it doesn't dry, it's still one coat. The moment it dries, it becomes a coat of paint. Well, it's the same with watercolor. I noticed today, particularly with the landscape, you had about 6 washes. A lot of people had 6 washes. And that happens because you start painting over there, say, and then you go over here and do a bit. Then you go, by the time you go back and touch it up, it's dried. So you've got another wash. And then you go over here, then you go back and it dries. So remember, don't let it dry. So the moment it dries and then you go over it again, it's another wash. So I like to say avoid more, don't have any more than 2 washes. Obviously, if they're pale washes, very pale, that's a little bit different. But if they're 2 medium toned washes, that's enough. Yeah. So that's all I'll say. And always remember, there are 3 techniques in watercolor. And there's a lot of artists that only use one technique. Like they use what you call wet on dry. But you've got wet and wet. And the reason you paint watercolor is because of wet into wet. You wouldn't paint watercolor if there was no wet into wet, because no other medium, pastel, oil, does wet into wet like that. And it's one of the easiest things to do. But it's also one of the most beautiful things in watercolor is wet into wet. This is why, see, I wetted over there. So some of the hill ran into the hill just to give it a soft edge. And the other technique that people must use is obviously there's a bit of it here, there, dry brush. Now, I guess you want me to finish up now, don't you?
Afraid so.
Okay, well, look, I'd like to thank everyone for putting up with me for...
What was number 3?
Okay, there's 3 techniques. Wet into wet, dry brush, and what's the other one? It's very wet on dry.
Dry.
Yeah, just basic standard, like here. Wet paint on dry. See, just that bit. That's wet on dry. That's wet into wet, but that's wet on dry. So yeah, that's just, and there are a lot of watercolorists that just use wet on dry. But by just using wet on dry, you're missing out on so much. So when you do a watercolor, see, I'll give you advice. See if you can use the full range of tone. In other words, number 1 for white paper to black. So you've got 10 tones, or not 10 different tones, but you've got the full range. Make sure you've got the 3 techniques: wet on dry, wet into wet, and all this, dry brush. So make sure you utilize those and always find an excuse for white paper, particularly in your focal point. So your white paper, see how the eye, no other, for some reason, in oil paint, white paint, the eye isn't really drawn to white paint like it is drawn to the white paper. And I don't know why that is, because I could do this in white gouache, say, hypothetically, really solid white gouache, and it doesn't look the same as white paper. So always remember that. Use white paper in your focal point. Well, that's about all I want to say. And look, I want to thank you guys for putting up with me for 2 days. And well, I just hope you got something out of it, eh? So
We
so I hope
definitely
you,
did.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
no worries. All right. Well, look, and I'm so sorry I can't be in wherever in Perth or in West Australia, because I'm still in lockdown, and I'm not even allowed to go outside in an hour's time. I've got to stay inside. Okay. So thank you guys
Really
very
enjoyed
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. We
Thank-
really,
and,
really
um,
enjoyed
Good on you. See ya.
Bye.
it. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.